If you check the international departure screens in London, Paris, and Berlin at this moment, you are witnessing a scene that resembles the storyline of a dystopian film. Trips to New York are called off, journeys to Miami are halted, routes to Los Angeles are appearing totally empty. You are observing the most significant athletic competition on the planet fall apart live, and it is occurring due to one individual in Washington choosing to keep the whole world captive. If you are only now joining, the 2026 FIFA World Cup is in a condition of complete unrelieved turmoil. Donald Trump has just enacted a broad, instant restriction on travel aimed at various European countries and multiple involved African and South American nations. He executed it without notice. He executed it without discussing with his partners. He executed it under 4 months prior to the initial start of the largest competition in human records. He believed he was displaying power. He believed he was safeguarding American frontiers. But what he really accomplished was igniting a worldwide political upheaval that is driving the whole European continent directly into the welcoming embrace of the Canadian Prime Minister. In the upcoming few minutes, I'm going to demonstrate precisely how Donald Trump just demolished a $15 billion financial boon for the United States. I am going to demonstrate who reacted with alarm initially, why the largest company backers on earth are presently yelling at the White House, and why this might immediately affect your finances, even if you have no interest in soccer whatsoever. I am going to describe how Mark Carney avoided shouting, avoided protesting, but just reached for the phone and orchestrated the most embarrassing foreign policy loss of Donald Trump's whole term. You are observing the precise instant the United States cut itself off from the remainder of the developed world, and you are observing Canada rise to claim the prize. Let us begin with precisely what has just occurred. Early today, the White House released an executive directive halting the granting of all visitor and short-term employment permits for a roster of 22 countries. The roster features enormous European financial giants. It features nations whose national football squads have already earned spots in the 2026 World Cup. It features the nations from which the bulk of the supporters, the funders, and the global press are traveling. The United States was intended to be the main organizer of this event. 11 American urban areas, 78 games, the major finale in New Jersey. It was intended to be a brilliant, prosperous occasion for the American marketplace, aligning with the 250th anniversary of the United States. But Trump just secured the entrances. He referenced unclear safety issues. He asserted that overseas countries were not contributing their appropriate portion for worldwide protection. He handled the World Cup not as a festivity, but as an enormous negotiation tool. He viewed the millions of individuals intending to visit America and expend their funds in American lodgings, American eateries, and American enterprises, and he regarded them as bargaining power. He assumed FIFA would submit to him. He assumed Europe would plead with him for a waiver. He was mistaken, so profoundly, disastrously mistaken. Talk to anybody in the global foreign relations circle today, and they will convey the identical message. Europe is not pleading. Europe is enraged. Picture being the director of the French national squad at this time. Picture being the leader of the German Soccer Federation. You have devoted years readying for this. Your followers have expended millions of dollars on irreversible passes and lodgings in places like Dallas, Atlanta, and Kansas City. And abruptly you are informed that half your training personnel and a third of your journeying fans are lawfully prohibited from accessing the United States. The disorder is utter. It is complete. And this is where you must examine the evidence, because the financial ruin striking the United States at present is not hypothetical. It is transpiring today. Examine the lodging sector. Throughout the 11 American organizing urban areas, we are experiencing a surge of annulments that is plummeting hotel share values. Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt are observing billions of dollars in anticipated summer earnings vanish instantly. Examine the aviation sector. Overseas airlines are urgently redirecting aircraft, terminating paths to the United States, and requesting explanations from the Department of Transportation. Delta and United Airlines are suffering losses on Wall Street. Examine the company funders: Adidas, Coca-Cola, Visa. These are firms that invested hundreds of millions of dollars into promotional efforts focused on the United States organizing the world. They are utterly alarmed. They are warning of withdrawing their promotions. They are recognizing that their labels are now linked to a sealed, antagonistic, and unstable American government. And examine the 11 American city leaders. The leaders of urban areas like Miami, Philadelphia, and Seattle allocated hundreds of millions of taxpayer funds, enhancing their arenas, advancing their transport networks, and readying their law enforcement units for this precise occasion. They were assured a huge payback on expenditure. They were assured a financial surge. Now they are gazing at vacant arenas and enormous city obligations, all because the President of the United States desired to appear strong on TV. Why is Trump forfeiting command of this account so rapidly? Because he basically misinterprets what the World Cup represents. He considers it merely a match. He considers it a throwaway occurrence. He fails to grasp that for the remainder of the globe, football is a faith. It is a profoundly embedded societal foundation. When you interfere with the World Cup, you do not merely irritate foreign officials, you irritate billions of regular people. You transform whole societies against you. Trump intensified with warnings. He informed European heads that if they grumbled about the travel restriction, he would impose auto duties on them. He attempted to intimidate his way out of a foreign relations emergency, but the world replied with total freezing quiet. They ceased contacting Washington and they commenced contacting Ottawa. This is where you must examine Mark Carney, because the difference between how Donald Trump manages an emergency and how Mark Carney manages an emergency is the whole narrative here. While Trump was furiously sharing on his social media site, while the White House press secretary was shouting at journalists, Mark Carney was seated in his workspace, calmly viewing a chart of North America. Canada is a joint organizer of this event. Toronto and Vancouver were merely intended to organize 13 games. They were intended to be the lesser associate in this enormous North American proposal, but Carney viewed the American breakdown not as a catastrophe, but as the singular most substantial worldwide political chance of his career. Carney does not battle like Trump battles. He does not employ a heavy hammer. He employs a precise blade. He employs frameworks, partnerships, and a profound basic comprehension of international operations. He recognizes that Europe is eager for a resolution. He recognizes that FIFA is eager to preserve their multi-billion-dollar transmission agreements. So he took action. We now possess verification that during the past 48 hours, Carney has been on protected discussions with the President of France, the Chancellor of Germany, and the leader of the European Union. He has been organizing straight with the President of Mexico, the third joint organizer of the event. Carney provided them a rescue line. He provided them Canada. He suggested an urgent operational shift. Canada promptly declared a unique accelerated World Cup passage permit for all European countries and impacted nations. Carney assured that Canadian frontiers would stay entirely accessible, entirely manned, and entirely hospitable to the globe. He suggested to greatly enlarge the supporter celebration areas in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. He suggested to accommodate displaced European squads in top-tier Canadian practice centers. He basically converted Canada into the secure refuge of the worldwide structure, and he proceeded beyond. Carney is vigorously collaborating with FIFA to investigate transferring games away from the United States. There are vigorous private talks at this moment about relocating elimination phase matches and possibly even the quarterfinals away from urban areas like Dallas and Atlanta and relocating them to Vancouver, Toronto, or Mexico City. Carney is utilizing Trump's own travel restriction to lawfully support violating the initial organizing agreement. He is contending that if the United States cannot ensure the unrestricted travel of competitors and supporters, then the United States is in violation of its duties to the global society. He is removing Donald Trump of his bargaining power. He is seizing the prized element of the event and pulling it northward. You must comprehend the concepts here. This is regarding independence. This is regarding steadiness. This is regarding alliance formation. Trump creates adversaries. Carney creates alliances. Trump desires to separate America to demonstrate a concept. Carney desires to incorporate Canada to demonstrate a concept. And the concept Carney is conveying is ruinous to Washington. The world does not require the United States to operate. The world can circumvent you. When European heads view North America today, they do not perceive a cohesive alliance. They perceive a totally unstable, unpredictable United States and a serene, dependable, extremely capable Canada. This has enormous consequences well outside a soccer event. Consider what this indicates to the international economies. Consider what this indicates to NATO. If the United States cannot be relied upon to fulfill an agreement to organize a sports occasion, how can they be relied upon to fulfill a shared protection pact? If Donald Trump will prohibit your residents from accessing the country over a minor political complaint, how can you rely on him to safeguard your distribution networks? The response is you cannot, and Europe is ultimately acknowledging it. We are witnessing a deep reorganization of worldwide confidence. Europe is viewing Mark Carney and perceiving a head who communicates their dialect, a head who comprehends international money, a head who trusts in the regulations-based global structure. They are viewing Trump and perceiving an enormous risk. Even if you have no concern for Canada, Canada influences your existence. Because the instant Europe concludes that Canada is a more dependable associate than the United States, the American marketplace begins to suffer. Overseas immediate funding will transfer. Firms that were intending to construct main offices in the United States will examine the frontier disorder. They will examine the travel prohibitions, and they will construct in Toronto as an alternative. Technology employees who cannot obtain permits to operate in Silicon Valley will relocate to Vancouver. The talent exodus is genuine, and Trump is speeding it up. Each time Trump attempts to shut an entrance, Carney unlocks a portal, and the riches of the globe is soaring directly through it. There is one particular extremely emblematic element from this morning that you must learn. It flawlessly summarizes everything that is transpiring. The German national squad, one of the top contenders to claim the whole event, was planned to arrive in Miami for a before-event preparation session. Their aircraft was actually airborne above the Atlantic Ocean when Trump enacted the travel restriction. The aviator got an alert from American Air Traffic Control that a considerable part of the travelers aboard, including vital training personnel possessing dual nationalities from restricted countries, would be held upon arrival. The aircraft did not arrive in Miami. It redirected. It headed northward. It arrived in Toronto. When that aircraft landed on Canadian ground, it was not greeted by irritated frontier officers. It was greeted by the Canadian Minister of Sport. It was greeted by a completely operational, courteous, very effective immigration procedure that approved the whole squad in under an hour. Carney didn't elevate his tone. He elevated the expense of disregarding Canada. He allowed Donald Trump to disgrace himself on the international platform, and then he silently gathered the fragments that dropped. Trump did not bargain. He insisted, and the world merely retreated. So what transpires afterward? The timer is running, and the strain on Washington is turning utterly intolerable. There are three paths this unfolds in the immediate future. Scenario A. This is the most probable result. The American commercial group entirely rebels. The executives of the primary airlines, the lodging networks, and the enormous company funders proceed into the Oval Office and inform Trump that he is ruining the American marketplace. The governors of the organizing states, Texas, Florida, California, revolt against the White House. They insist on an instant reversal of the travel restriction. Trump, confronting an inner rebellion from his own contributors, is compelled into a degrading, very visible withdrawal. He releases exemptions. He retracts it. But the harm to American reliability is eternally inflicted. The world recalls that he attempted to devastate it. Scenario B, the intensification. Trump entrenches himself. He declines to remove the restriction. He criticizes FIFA on social media, labeling them dishonest. He criticizes Europe. He criticizes Carney. FIFA, faced with no alternative whatsoever, convenes an urgent assembly and formally deprives the United States of its organizing privileges for all games, including restricted countries. They transfer numerous matches to Canada and Mexico. The United States forfeits billions in earnings, and Trump enters history as the president who forfeited the World Cup. The American populace, enraged at forfeiting the event, turns against him. Scenario C, the unanticipated turnaround. Trump attempts to exploit the emergency to compel a bigger worldwide political agreement. He informs Europe he will remove the travel restriction, but solely if they consent to enormous fresh commerce compromises or heightened defense expenditures. He attempts to keep the event captive for strategy achievements, but Europe rejects his ploy. They decline to bargain with a captor. They challenge him to devastate the event. The impasse continues, immobilizing the worldwide marketplace and generating a season of utter disorder. This is the segment where heads typically soothe it. This is the segment where foreign officers intervene, refine the harsh aspects, and discover a settlement. But Trump does not perform soothing. Trump does not perform settlement. He only understands how to intensify. And that is why the world is shifting to Mark Carney, because the world is weary of the spectacle. The world is drained by the perpetual wearing tension of interacting with an American president who manages global steadiness like a reality TV program. We are observing the conclusion of a period, the period where the United States was the unchallenged, essential hub of the world. Trump vowed to make America great again. But examine what is truly transpiring. America is separated. America is forfeiting billions. America is being circumvented by its nearest partners. Meanwhile, Canada is entering the gap. Carney is demonstrating that a moderate authority equipped with ability, tactics, and a dedication to worldwide partnership can outsmart a dominant force equipped with only bravado and intimidations. The travel restriction was intended to be a display of might. It transformed into a demonstration of American deterioration. You must examine the extended harm here. This is not merely about a season of soccer. This is about the following 20 years of worldwide connections. When a youthful individual in Europe observes this develop, what do they consider of the United States? They perceive a nation that is shut off, furious, and unfriendly. They perceive a nation that violates its commitments. And when they examine Canada, they perceive a nation that is accessible, contemporary, and trustworthy. Where do you believe that youthful individual is going to desire to learn? Where do you believe they are going to desire to allocate their funds? Where do you believe they are going to desire to launch a venture? Trump is constructing a barrier, but he is securing the American citizens on the incorrect side of it. He is securing you out of the worldwide marketplace. He is securing you out of the societal interaction that enables the contemporary world to operate. And you are bearing the cost. You are bearing the cost in forfeited earnings for your urban areas. You are bearing the cost in a reduced standing overseas. You are bearing the cost each time an overseas firm resolves to circumvent the United States and establish operations in Toronto as an alternative. Carney comprehends this. He is engaging in the extended strategy. He recognizes that each time Trump behaves unpredictably, Canada's value increases. He is placing Canada as the North American option, the secure port in a tempest of American turmoil, and it is succeeding. The European reply has been predominantly favorable toward Ottawa. French and German foreign officers are openly commending Carney's guidance. The international media is contrasting Carney's serene, balanced method with Trump's explosive rants. The account has entirely changed. Trump is no longer the expert bargainer. He is the unforeseeable risk. Carney is no longer simply the prime minister of a northern adjacent country. He is the firm grip on the controls of the global structure. This is an emergency of Trump's own creation. He ignited the spark. He added the fuel. And now he is astonished that the blaze is consuming his own residents. But the blaze is not consuming Canada. Canada is constructing a barrier against fire. Canada is safeguarding the event. Canada is safeguarding the worldwide distribution networks. Canada is safeguarding the partnerships that Trump is so eager to demolish. You need to question yourself what transpires when the particles clear. When the World Cup is finished, irrespective of where the concluding games are conducted, what will the world recall? They will recall that when the situation was critical, the United States surrendered. They will recall that the United States could not be relied upon, and they will recall that Canada advanced. This is the heritage of the Trump government. A heritage of violated pacts, annulled trips, and vacant arenas. A heritage of separation and financial self-destruction. And this is the heritage of Mark Carney. A heritage of steadiness, partnership, and tactical excellence. The difference could not be more pronounced. The risks could not be greater. We are going to continue observing this evolve. We are going to continue monitoring the trips, the funds, and the foreign relations messages, because this is progressing quickly, and the conventional press is still attempting to keep pace. They are still attempting to handle this as a standard political disagreement. It is not standard. It is a basic fracture in the worldwide framework. Do you believe Mark Carney is defending the World Cup, or is he challenging Donald Trump to exaggerate and ruin his own term? Is this the instant Europe ultimately departs from America permanently? Share your opinion below. I want to learn what you consider about this enormous change in worldwide authority, and ensure you press that subscribe option at this moment, because if you desire the genuine narrative, if you desire the following report before the news even realizes what occurred, you need to be here. The world is transforming live. Do not look away.